Hello, and thank you for calling Creation Science Evangelism at Dinosaur Adventureland. We have 6 extensions that you can choose from. If you'd like to place an order, please press 1. To talk to somebody in the finance department, 2. Hovind himself.
To reach the video production department.
At the tone, please say your name, then press pound.
AJ. Embrace how sweet the sound.
Hello. 3 phone calls at the same time.
Oh, really?
Good morning.
Good morning, Kent.
Yeah, I just had to celebrate. Hauling a heavy load of feed for the cows. You're ready to get converted. I'm ready to show you, man.
Okay, is now not a good time to talk, or you're...
No, perfect. I got a half-hour drive.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, do you remember when we had a debate about Haeckel's embryos? Do you remember? You recall that?
Yes.
Yeah, it was a great debate. One of my favorites. So I was just curious if you had ever followed up on findings about the trial for Haeckel and all that. Did you ever find out about that?
I had somebody from Germany call me and say they're over there in the library with the documentation that yes, it did happen. It wasn't actually a court trial. It was his own university. 6 professors accused him of lying. I think he sent me the stuff on it. I'm not here. I would have put it in my notes in PowerPoint. It doesn't matter. Okay, whether Haeckel had a trial or not, the fact is those are not evidence for evolution. So it's a distraction to worry about did he have a trial and who attended, what color shirt did they wear.
Well, you're the one.
Embryos.
You're the one that brings that up. Now you're saying it doesn't matter.
Correct.
But
do you understand? Whether he had a trial or not doesn't matter. It's evading the point. The point is you should not use embryos as evidence for evolution, whether there was a trial or not.
If the trial
I think there was. The guy told me there was.
Why did you put it in your slides then? If it doesn't matter, then why did you talk about the trial in the first place?
Why are you focusing on a gnat and swallowing a camel? The embryos are not evidence for evolution. Have the trial today. People will say, look, he faked the drawings, obviously. You can compare them to the pictures. I don't understand why you would strain at this gnat and swallow such a camel.
Because...
Are you still going to use embryos as evidence for evolution?
Yeah.
Well, it's a lie.
Well,
it's not true.
Did you say something that was a lie for like 30 years? Was it a lie that he had a trial?
No, I just got done telling you. The guy called me. The guy called me from Germany. He said I'm at the university where he taught, and it is true. There was a trial. I don't remember if he sent me documentation. So no, I'm not going to say I lied. You guys are lying about the embryos.
Did the faculty find him guilty?
I don't know. According to it was a university. They don't have the authority to have a trial and put somebody in jail.
Well,
his other professors sanctioned him.
Did they think that Haeckel lied about the embryos? Is that what they said?
That's my understanding. Yes, he sent me the documentation. I think I would have put it in my PowerPoint slides.
Well, then
but again, you're evading the point, AJ.
Hold on a second, Kent. But why didn't they fire Haeckel after that then?
I don't know. Maybe they put him on leave for 30 days. Maybe they spanked him. I don't know.
You're saying
but
that
the fact is, the
embryos. They had a trial among his. They had basically, or I forget what it's called, but it's when you get in trouble at a school. They have a hearing board, something like that. And you're saying that the faculty agreed that Haeckel lied about the embryos, but he continued to work there for 3 decades. So. That doesn't okay.
So,
I'm willing to move on, but I'm just saying, like it kind of seemed like you were.
Well, no, you're not.
You were saying something that was BS for 30 years, Kent.
You're not willing to move on because you're desperate for evidence to prove your stupid religion. Evolution didn't happen, and embryos looking similar, even if they did look similar, that's not evidence for evolution. That's a common design. I don't know how you guys can be so willingly ignorant. So it's just not true.
If the embryos did look similar, would that be evidence for evolution, or would it not be evidence?
No.
Why not?
No, of course not.
Why not?
Fords and Chevys look similar
Okay, but
because they got a common design to accomplish.
Okay, we're talking about embryos.
I see no hope of you ever getting it, but I'm going to keep praying. Okay.
No, I understand your analogy,
yeah.
but I'm talking about.
I don't think you do.
Why would the embryos being similar not be evidence?
For the same reason Fords and Chevys looking similar are not evidence they evolved. It's a common design. It's necessary for airflow.
That's a design. Humans can control and change how cars look. Embryos cannot. They can't be changed in that way. That's just nature. Just whether it was designed or not, you can't go and change how embryos look. Not in like a human lifespan anyway. So why? I don't know why you're making that comparison. It's not a good analogy, Kent. And
it's a wonderful analogy.
I
tell you
want
what.
to talk about embryos, not cars and trucks. Don't bring up the cars and trucks again, please. I'd like to talk about the topic.
Okay, the embryos. Look at the pictures, not the drawings, the photographs that Richardson made back in 1998, and you will see they are not similar to the drawings Haeckel made. Haeckel lied whether there was a trial or not. He lied. The drawings are fake. Why can't you just admit that?
Says that Haeckel presented really real evidence about embryos being similar and evidence for evolution. He claimed that he made a mistake and that he contributed to a creationist cause, and he later redacted saying that Haeckel lied and was wrong. But regardless of his photographs, we have real microphotographs today of embryos that are way, way more clear and advanced than those Richardson photos. And you're saying those embryos, like the ones I showed in my opening in the debate, that you're saying they don't look similar at all. None of the embryos I showed you look similar whatsoever?
That's not what I said.
Okay.
Listen to me. Even if they look identical, that is not proof for evolution.
Why not?
They don't look identical. The drawings were fake.
Why isn't it proof?
Because each embryo is another call coming at you with each embryo is more complex than the space shuttle. When it has two cells unite, the sperm and the egg, it's already more complex than the space shuttle. Just the DNA code is phenomenal. Why do you so desperately want evidence to believe you're related to a potato?
I don't care. It's not about what I want. It's just about what the data presents. So if the embryos...
That is not what the data presents.
If the embryos were simpler, would that mean that it was evidence for evolution? If they weren't as complex?
No.
No.
You couldn't get a bag of marbles. You couldn't get a bag of marbles to evolve.
I win, tails you lose with all this stuff, Kent. It seems like you're rigging the game. You've got the thumb on the scales. You know?
No, you want badly to keep believing there's no God so you can justify your lifestyle. That's the problem.
What does that even mean, Kent? I don't want to get into that.
God.
It's not
okay, God's going to judge the world.
I don't want evolution.
Yes, it is.
You want.
Okay, if you want the truth is
true, because if evolution is true, that would mean you'd been wrong for 30 years. You'd have to admit that you were wrong. And I think you'd rather die than ever admit that you were wrong about something.
Oh, I have no problem admitting I'm wrong when I'm wrong, but I'm not. You're the one that was the problem. The embryos are not evidence for evolution.
Do you have an example of one time you were wrong about something, Kent?
Let's stay on topic here. Even if the embryos were identical, that still would not prove evolution.
Yes, it would.
Chevy and Ford tires look very, very similar. Sometimes they're identical.
I don't mean to interrupt, but do you know why that would be that I make the argument that the similarities are evidence? Do you know why?
Why you make the argument? Yeah, you hate God.
No.
That's why.
No. Do you understand the argument?
I understand it really well. You're looking for anything to show that these creatures went through a growing stage, fish, amphibian, reptile, mammal, and it's just not true. It's a necessary design feature, just like snowmobiles and boats and cars and trucks all come down the line and they build the frame first. Then they put the details on it. It's just, you're never going to get it.
Well, okay, so...
Anyway, I'm pulling a ton of grain in my truck.
What gets built first on the animal?
Oh,
it starts off with the single cell blastula and slowly grows into whatever creature is going to grow and following an incredibly complex code. That code is more complex than any code ever written by mankind.
That's only four,
How on earth can you believe it happened by chance?
It's only 4 letters. It's not that complex.
Well, it's like Morse code's only 2 letters, and you can spell out any word in the world with Morse code.
Right, but do you
It's the message that's
understand
complex.
what relative complexity is? Do you understand how things can be complex relative to
Hang
something?
on, just a minute.
Okay,
Hold it, my secretary's calling. Just a second.
I won't take up much more of your time.
Yeah, well, the fact is, the drawings Haeckel made
Wait a
are
minute,
not
can
accurate.
Can you answer my question?
Would you admit that?
But hold on a second.
Well, will you, first of all, listen, we're on 4 different topics already. Listen, will you admit Haeckel's drawings were not accurate? Yes or no?
Sure. I'll say all the drawings were wrong. Throw them out. It doesn't matter because we have photographs.
Okay.
We have photographs now, so you
Good.
can throw the drawings away.
Okay, so if a textbook still uses those drawings, should that be taken out of the textbook?
Yes, it should.
Yay. So are you guys going to go and do a rally around the schools instead of the Noah's Ark and say, remove this page from the textbook?
No,
This
because
is a lie.
Most textbooks don't really have the drawings anymore because they have photographs now. I agree with you that
Well,
if a textbook shows the drawings talking about the history of the whole controversy, I don't see a problem with that. But if they're talking about the embryos
But they
as
don't.
a topic, no, that is what they do. They don't.
They show the
they
embryo
don't
drawings.
no,
I've got hundreds
why
of
would they show
textbooks,
the
AJ.
drawings when they have photographs, Kent?
Because the drawings illustrate their point and the photographs don't.
Oh, really?
The photographs disproves their point.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, call Joseph and schedule another debate. Let's do this where it does some good for people who will listen.
But you
Because you're not
it's,
listening.
it's a waste of time though because you don't care about debating people, Kent. You just want a platform to repeat your script. You don't actually care about the debates because you don't actually take them
I care.
seriously. No, you don't.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
And you don't
can
either.
ask you
I can
one
accuse you of the same thing.
Can I ask you one last question though?
Sure,
So,
sure.
Do you agree, yes or no, that vertebrate embryos all have the same structures, i.e., the pharyngeal arches, a post-anal tail, a dorsal, and do you agree that they share those structures? That all vertebrate embryos have the pharyngeal arches and a post-anal tail?
I
Or
agree.
do you
There are
disagree?
folds of skin. They are not pharyngeal arches, and it's not a tail yet. The baby is going to be resorbed. It's designed perfectly to grow just exactly like it grows. You have to have that backbone to hang all the structures on. It develops marvelously, like there was a really smart God who did it.
It's a post-anal tail.
That's what I
We're
believe.
talking about an embryo, Kent. Like it's not actually a developed tail.
Oh, I know. I understand.
So do you agree or disagree that all vertebrate embryos have the pharyngeal arches and the post-anal tail, or do you agree or disagree?
I disagree. I think they have some
Okay.
similarities. They look similar on the drawing board, but look at the photographs. The backbone grows first. I bet if you look at all the highways in America, they build the roadbed first.
Kent, you said yourself that it's the blastopore that grows first in the single cell, not the backbone. A single cell organism doesn't have a backbone, so you're.
Well, as it grows, I don't know how many cells it has to reach before it has the backbone. Probably billions, certainly millions of cells. And that just at that point, when it's the size of a pinhead, it's more complicated than the space shuttle. How can anybody with a functioning brain cell think nobody designed that?
Do you understand that things can be relatively complex compared to each other? That one thing can be simple compared to something else that's more complex or less complex? Do you understand that?
Yeah, but even the least complex living form that we know of is more complex than the space shuttle.
I'll grant you that, but do you
understand
do you
that?
agree that there are things
Well, yeah.
that are more complex than that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That proves God is really smart.
Okay, sure. But I'm just saying, though, just because a single-cell organism is complex, that doesn't mean that it's the most complex thing in the universe, Kent. There are things that are more complex and
I
things
did
that
not
are
say
little
that.
simpler.
I did
you
not.
said, you said it's more
you keep
complex
putting
than a
words in
space
my
shuttle.
mouth.
You always exaggerate how complex it is, but...
No, you accused me of saying that it's the most complex thing in the universe. I did not ever say that.
Okay, well then...
I said
then
the
I take
single
that
cell
comment
is...
back then.
Okay, single cell is more complex than the space shuttle, which, as far as I know, is the most complex machine built by man.
Okay.
Maybe they've got another one now, SpaceX or something. Okay, it's pretty complex. There's nobody with one brain cell who would say the space shuttle could form itself by an explosion, even in a parts factory where you already have the parts together. It's not going to happen, let alone designing each nut and bolt and screw and wire and harness.
What does explosion have to do with anything? No one said that
Here
animals
you are going off topic
exploding.
again.
You're the one who mentioned an explosion, Kent. But I don't want to take it.
You're looking for anything to evade. Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, I'll see you Judgment Day. It's the best I can do. I've tried.
Okay, one more thing though. So you seem to criticize the argument for majority opinion. It's saying that, oh well, most scientists agree about certain topics. That's not the majority opinion. That's the majority of the qualified experts in a relevant field. So that's different than just, oh, most people think that, you know, one thing is true. Most people think that the Earth is round. Some people think the Earth is flat.
Right.
No, there's a difference between saying most people, as in like uneducated people in the general public, versus educated scientists talking about science topics.
Right. Oh, I agree. Hey, go to North Korea. All the educated scientists believe communism is wonderful. Does that make it wonderful?
Most
This
people
is the argument
don't
for
have a
majority
choice.
opinion.
This has nothing to do with anything, Ken. It's total non sequitur.
It has everything to do with it.
Well, okay,
Evolution
so
is a religion that is state-funded.
No, it's not. It's not a religion. North Korea is run by one man. So do you think that the majority of scientists agreeing about a topic versus one man, one Kent Hovind saying that they're wrong, do you think that that's science, or do you think that that's cult-like?
Well,
Because
in
cults
order
are
to be a
generally run by
scientist,
one person who has total authority. Don't you think that don't you agree? Or do you disagree?
no, you're way off topic again.
I'm right on the money.
AJ, define who is a scientist? What's your definition of scientist? It's a person who believes in evolution.
Generally,
Otherwise, they can't be a scientist, right?
No, that's not how the word scientist is defined. A scientist
Good. So if a person believes in creation, can they still be a scientist in your world, or are they now disqualified?
Of course they can. But
Oh, good. Okay.
they tend to not be, though, because
But they're stupid scientists, right? Because they don't follow the
I didn't
religion.
say that.
I know how it goes. I did. I'll say it again. Tell you what, tonight's Whack an Atheist.
At Answers in Genesis, at the Discovery Institute, people who are creationists, who are genuine scientists in their relevant field, which is usually a field that's unrelated to the topics they talk about, though.
Well, that's another ad hominem attack. They're not qualified to talk about this topic.
That's not what I
Okay.
said.
Well, was Darwin a scientist?
The word scientist wasn't really used back then. He was considered a naturalist, but he did science, and he contributed to science, arguably more than anybody has ever.
Wow.
Well, at least in terms of biology.
Even though the only degree he got was theology, and so, but you consider him a scientist. Okay. All right. Well, my phone calls are stacking up. Thank you for calling. Listen, I really do pray for you, and I think there's hope.
Why are you so mean
Light
to
at the end of the
Darwin? Why do
tunnel.
you always call him a loser? That's kind of mean.
All right, I got to take this call.
All right. Well,
Call me back in an
I appreciate
hour.
you taking the
I'll-
time, Ken. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Alrighty.